Master horse trainer failed until he learned ancient Lakota secret of animal communication. He was known as one of the best horse trainers in the region. People spoke his name with respect. Young riders wanted to learn from him. Ranch owners trusted him with their most expensive horses. From the outside, his life looked like a success story built on years of hard work, discipline, and skill. He had studied modern training methods for a long time. He attended workshops, read thick manuals, and followed famous trainers from around the world. He believed strongly in structure, consistency, and control. To him, training was about timing, pressure, and reward. When a horse did the right thing, it was praised. When it resisted, the pressure increased until it gave in. This approach had worked for years, and it had brought him trophies, money, and a solid reputation. But there was a quiet truth few people knew. Some horses never fully accepted him. These were not ordinary horses. They were sensitive ones, intelligent ones, horses that reacted strongly to emotions and energy. With other trainers, they seemed calm and curious. With him, they became tense. Their ears pinned back, their bodies stiffened. Sometimes they refused to move at all. Other times they exploded in sudden fear, as if they sensed something unseen. At first, he blamed the horses. He told himself they were stubborn, poorly bred, or badly handled before coming to him. He increased training sessions, adjusted equipment, and refined his techniques. He worked harder, stayed longer in the stable, and pushed himself to prove he was right. Yet the problem did not go away. One particular horse began to haunt his thoughts. It was a young, powerful animal with smooth movement and sharp awareness. On the first day, the horse had looked at him in a way that felt almost human, alert, watchful, and unsure. As soon as training began, things went wrong. The horse resisted simple requests. It avoided his hands. It reacted strongly to small cues. No matter what method he tried, the horse did not relax. Other trainers suggested patience. Some suggested stronger control. He chose control. The results only got worse. During sessions, he felt his own frustration growing. His jaw tightened. His movements became sharper without him realizing it. The horse responded by becoming more fearful. It was like a mirror reflecting emotions back at him. Still, he did not see that yet. To the public, he smiled and spoke confidently. He explained training theory with ease. He demonstrated exercises flawlessly with horses that already trusted him. Applause followed him wherever he went. People assumed confidence meant certainty, but late at night alone in the stable, doubt crept in. He began to notice something unsettling. The horses that worked best with him were the ones that were already obedient by nature. Calm, predictable. The ones that needed deep trust, the ones that required emotional connection, those were the ones he failed. He brushed off the thought at first. He told himself success could not be measured by feelings. Training was about results, about outcomes, about control. Still, small moments kept bothering him. There were times when he entered the stable feeling stressed or rushed. On those days, even his best horses seemed uneasy. They shifted their weight, lifted their heads, and watched him closely. On calmer days, when his mind was quiet, things went smoother. He noticed the pattern but did not understand it. One afternoon, a visitor watched him work silently from the fence. The man said nothing during the session. Afterward, he only asked one question. "Why are you trying so hard to make the horse listen?" the man asked, "when you are not listening first?" The trainer laughed politely. He assumed the man did not understand professional training. Still, the question stayed with him longer than he expected. Listening to a horse sounded strange to him. Horses followed commands. They did not speak. They reacted, that was all. Or so he believed. As weeks passed, the tension inside him grew. Every failure felt personal. He had built his identity around being a master trainer. The idea that something fundamental was missing threatened everything he believed about himself. He doubled down. He added new tools, new routines, new systems. Yet the results stayed the same. In some cases, they got worse. Horses that once tolerated him now avoided him. They became distant, cold, alert in a way that made him uncomfortable. One evening, after a long and exhausting day, he stood alone in the arena. The sun was setting, painting the sky in soft orange and purple colors. A horse stood quietly at the far end, watching him. Not moving, not afraid, just watching. For the first time, he noticed something unusual. The horse was not challenging him. It was waiting. That moment stirred something deep inside him, a feeling he had not allowed himself to feel before: uncertainty. Not about technique, but about understanding. He realized that despite all his knowledge, he might not truly understand the animals he worked with every day. He left the arena early that night. At home, he replayed his career in his mind. The praise, the failures, the horses that resisted him the most. A pattern slowly formed, one he could no longer ignore. The harder he tried to control, the more resistance he faced. This realization scared him. If control was not the answer, then what was? He had no clear solution yet. Only a growing sense that something ancient, something forgotten, might be missing from his modern methods. Something beyond tools and techniques. As he lay awake that night, listening to the distant sounds of the stable, one thought repeated in his mind. Maybe mastery was not about commanding horses. Maybe it was about understanding them. The trouble reached its peak sooner than he expected. The horse that had challenged him from the beginning was now scheduled for a public demonstration. This was not just any event. Important buyers, sponsors, and other trainers would be present. His reputation rested on moments like these. He told himself this was the chance to prove everyone wrong, including the quiet doubt growing inside him. On the morning of the event, he woke up early, but his mind was already restless. He went through his routine carefully, checking equipment, reviewing the plan in his head again and again. Everything was familiar, practiced, and precise. Still, something felt off. His chest felt tight, and his thoughts moved too fast. When he arrived at the stable, the horse was standing quietly. Its body looked calm, but its eyes were alert. It watched him closely as he approached. He reached out with confidence, just as he always did. But the horse shifted slightly away. It was a small movement, almost unnoticeable, yet it sent a wave of irritation through him. He ignored it. This will work, he told himself.
It always does. As the crowd gathered, the pressure grew.
People whispered his name with expectation. Cameras were ready. He stepped into the arena holding the reins firmly, reminding himself that he was in control. At first, the horse followed basic cues. The audience relaxed. Some nodded in approval. But as the routine progressed and the movements became more complex, the horse began to hesitate. Its breathing changed. Its steps became uneven. He responded the only way he knew how, by pushing forward. The horse resisted. What happened next unfolded quickly, but it felt slow to him. The horse stopped suddenly, refusing to move. He tried again. The tension between them grew thick, almost visible. The horse's body stiffened, and its focus scattered. The calm energy he needed was gone. A murmur spread through the crowd. He felt heat rise in his face. His movements became sharper. His voice, though not loud, carried frustration. The horse reacted instantly, stepping back, confused and overwhelmed. Then the demonstration ended, not with success, but with silence. No applause followed, only polite clapping from a few people who did not know what else to do. He led the horse out of the arena, his heart pounding. Inside, something had broken. This was not a small mistake. This was a public failure, and everyone had seen it. Back in the stable, he removed the equipment slowly. The horse stood still, its eyes soft but distant. It did not look angry. It did not look afraid anymore either. It simply looked tired. That look stayed with him. Later that day, the calls came. A sponsor backed out. A future opportunity was quietly canceled. No one said it directly, but the message was clear. Doubt had replaced confidence in the minds of others. For the first time in his career, he did not argue. He did not defend himself. He felt empty. Over the next few weeks, he tried to return to work as usual, but something had changed. Every training session felt heavier. Horses that once followed his lead without question now reacted with hesitation. It was as if they sensed his inner conflict before he did. He started avoiding certain horses. He made excuses. He shortened sessions. The joy he once felt around training slowly disappeared. One evening, after a long day, he sat alone on a wooden fence outside the arena. The sun was low, and the air was quiet. He watched a group of horses grazing freely in the distance. They moved together without commands, without ropes, without pressure. Each step felt natural, connected. He realized something painful. He had spent years teaching horses how to respond to him, but he had never truly learned how to respond to them. That thought hit harder than any public failure. For days he stayed away from competitions. He turned down invitations. He stopped reading training manuals. None of it made sense anymore. The rules he once trusted felt incomplete. Friends noticed the change, but some encouraged him to get back on track. Others suggested new techniques, new tools, new systems. He listened politely but felt no spark. Deep inside, he knew the answer was not another method. It was something else. One night, unable to sleep, he walked through the stable. The horses shifted softly as he passed, their movements calm and aware. He stopped in front of an older horse that had been with him for many years. This horse had always been gentle, forgiving even. He rested his hand on the fence and simply stood there. No commands, no plans, just stillness. The horse slowly stepped closer. It lowered its head slightly, breathing steady and warm. For a brief moment there was no tension, no expectation, just quiet presence. His throat tightened. He realized how rarely he allowed moments like this. Moments without goals, without control, without force. That night he made a decision he never thought he would make. He stepped back. He canceled upcoming sessions. He left the training facility in the care of assistants and told no one where he was going. Not because he had a plan, but because he needed space. Space to think, to feel, to understand what had gone wrong. As he packed his things, he felt fear rise inside him. Walking away meant admitting he did not have all the answers. It meant facing the possibility that everything he believed about mastery was incomplete. But beneath the fear was something else, curiosity. He began traveling without a clear destination. He visited old ranches, quiet towns, and wide-open lands where horses were still treated as partners, not projects. He watched from a distance. He listened more than he spoke. In one small place, he noticed something strange. A man working with a nervous horse did almost nothing at all. No shouting, no force, just calm movement and long pauses. The horse slowly settled, as if guided by something invisible. When he asked about it, people spoke of tradition, of old knowledge passed down quietly, never written in books. That idea stayed with him. For the first time, he allowed himself to believe that modern success might have pushed him too far away from something essential, something simple, something human. His failure had stripped him of pride, but it had also opened a door. His travels slowly led him north, across wide lands where roads stretched long and quiet. The air felt different there, cleaner, slower, as if time itself moved with more patience. He stayed in small places, spoke to few people, and spent most of his days watching horses from a distance. He was no longer trying to prove anything. He was trying to understand. One afternoon, while stopping near an open plain, he noticed a small group of people gathered around a fenced area. Inside stood a large horse, restless and alert. Its movements were sharp, and its eyes darted from side to side. Anyone familiar with horses could tell this animal had been labeled difficult. What caught his attention was the man standing near the fence. The man was older, with silver hair tied back simply. His clothes were plain, worn by years of outdoor life. He held no rope, no tools, nothing that looked like training equipment. He wasn't even inside the fence. He just stood there, relaxed, watching the horse with calm focus. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. The horse moved, stopped, moved again. The man did not rush. He did not react. His breathing was slow and steady. His posture was soft but grounded, like a tree standing firm without effort. Slowly, the horse's movements changed. Its steps became lighter. Its head lowered slightly. The sharp tension began to fade. After a long while, the horse walked toward the fence on its own and stood near the man. The trainer felt his breath catch. He had never seen anything like this. Later, he asked someone nearby who the man was. The answer came quietly, almost casually. "He's Lakota," the person said. "He works with horses his own way, doesn't teach classes, doesn't take money." That night, the trainer could not sleep. The image of the calm man and the settled horse played again and again in his mind. There were no commands, no pressure, no struggle, yet the connection was clear. The next morning he returned to the same place, unsure of what he would say. The older man was there again, sitting on a low stool, watching the land. The trainer approached slowly, respectfully. "I saw you yesterday," he said. "I've worked with horses all my life, but I've never seen anything like that." The older man looked at him for a long moment. His eyes were kind but sharp, as if they could see beyond words.
"You were watching the horse," the man said calmly.
"But you were not watching yourself." The words felt gentle, yet they landed deeply. The trainer didn't argue. He didn't explain his experience or list his achievements. For the first time in years, he simply listened. They sat in silence for a while. The wind moved softly through the grass. Horses grazed in the distance. Finally, the trainer spoke again. "Will you teach me?" The older man did not answer right away. He stood, walked a few steps, and watched the horizon. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady. "I don't teach," he said. "I show, if you are patient enough to see." That was all. Over the following days, the trainer stayed nearby. He did not ask questions constantly. He did not interrupt. He observed. The older man worked with horses each morning and evening, always slowly, always calmly. Sometimes he would stand still for long periods. Sometimes he would move with quiet purpose. But never did he force a response. What surprised the trainer most was how much time was spent doing nothing. No ropes, no commands, no rush. At first, this made the trainer uncomfortable. He was used to action, to progress measured in steps and results. Here, progress was invisible. It was felt, not recorded. One day, the older man motioned for him to come closer. "Stand here," he said. The trainer stepped beside him. They both faced a young horse standing several feet away. "Do not look at the horse," the man said. "Feel your body." The instruction confused him. Still, he closed his eyes for a moment and noticed his breathing. It was shallow. His shoulders were tight. His thoughts were racing. "Slow down," the man said softly. The trainer took a deep breath. Then another. His shoulders relaxed slightly. "Now," the man said, "open your eyes." The horse had changed its stance. It looked calmer, less alert. The trainer felt a quiet shock. He had not moved. He had not spoken. Yet something had shifted. "This is where communication begins," the older man said. "Not with the horse. With you."
In the days that followed, the lessons continued in this quiet way.
The older man spoke of intention, not as a thought, but as a feeling. Horses, he explained, sensed emotions before actions. Fear, frustration, impatience, all of it reached the horse long before hands or tools did. "When your inside is loud," the man said, "the horse cannot hear peace." The trainer felt both humbled and relieved. For years, he had tried to control horses without first controlling himself. He had mistaken authority for trust. He practiced daily, standing still, breathing, letting thoughts pass without grabbing them. It was harder than any physical training he had done. His mind resisted slowing down. His body wanted to act. But slowly, something changed. One morning, the older man opened the fence and stepped aside. "Go," he said. The trainer hesitated. There were no instructions. No plan. He stepped into the open space and stood quietly. A horse nearby lifted its head and looked at him. The trainer focused on his breathing, remembering what he had learned. He softened his posture, relaxed his jaw, and let go of expectation. The horse took a step toward him, then another. The trainer felt emotion rise in his chest. Not excitement, not pride. Gratitude. The horse stopped just a few feet away, calm and curious. It lowered its head slightly. The older man watched from a distance. "You did not ask," he said later. "You allowed." That single sentence changed everything. The trainer began to understand that ancient knowledge was not about secrets or tricks. It was about awareness, respect, and balance. Horses were not machines to be adjusted. They were living beings responding to energy, intention, and presence. As days turned into weeks, the trainer stayed longer than he planned. He helped with simple tasks, shared meals, and listened to stories of tradition passed down through generations. Stories of people who lived alongside animals, not above them. One evening as the sun dipped low, "I thought I was a master," he said, "but I was only skilled with tools." The older man nodded. "Tools are easy," he replied. "Understanding takes time." That night, the trainer felt something settle inside him. The heavy weight of failure had lifted. In its place was humility, and a quiet confidence rooted not in control, but in connection. He knew his journey was far from over. But for the first time, he was not rushing toward an outcome. He was learning how to listen. Each new day began before sunrise. The land was quiet at that hour, wrapped in soft light and cool air. He woke early, not because he was told to, but because his body slowly adjusted to the rhythm around him. There were no schedules written down, no fixed plans. The days flowed naturally, shaped by the weather, the horses, and the moment itself. The older man rarely gave direct instructions. Instead, he watched. When he spoke, his words were simple, often fewer than expected. At first, this made learning feel uncertain. The trainer was used to clear steps and quick results. Here, learning came through experience, silence, and reflection. One morning, the older man asked him to walk toward a horse standing alone near the edge of the field. "Do not go to the horse," he said. "Go to yourself." The words sounded confusing, but the trainer had learned not to rush understanding. He walked slowly, paying attention to his breathing and posture. Halfway there, he noticed tension building in his chest. His thoughts jumped ahead, imagining success or failure. "Stop," the man said gently. He stopped walking.
"Feel your feet on the ground," the man continued.
"If you are not present, the horse will know." The trainer stood still. He focused on the feeling of the earth beneath him, on the air moving in and out of his lungs. Gradually the tension faded. Only then did the older man nod for him to continue. As he moved again, the horse shifted slightly but did not retreat. That alone felt like progress. Days passed like this, small lessons layered on top of one another. The trainer learned how his emotions traveled ahead of his actions. If he felt impatient, the horse stepped away. If he carried doubt, the horse hesitated. When he was calm and clear, the horse relaxed. There were moments of frustration, times when he felt he was going backward instead of forward. On those days, the older man reminded him that learning was not a straight path. "You spent many years rushing," he said once. "Now you are learning how to wait." One afternoon, the trainer was asked to enter the field with no goal at all. "No touching," the man said. "No asking. Just be there." At first, the trainer felt useless. He stood quietly while the horse grazed nearby, paying him little attention. Minutes passed, then more minutes. His mind wandered, then slowly settled. His breathing deepened. His shoulders dropped. Without realizing it, his body softened. The horse lifted its head and looked at him. It took a few steps closer, then stopped. The trainer did nothing. He remembered the lesson: allow, not demand. The horse stepped closer again. When it stood beside him, calm and unafraid, something shifted deep inside the trainer. He felt a connection that needed no proof and no reward. Later, the older man spoke. "You see," he said, "the horse chooses when it feels safe. You cannot decide that for it." That lesson stayed with him. Another day, the older man showed him how intention worked without movement. He asked the trainer to imagine walking forward not as a thought but as a feeling. The trainer focused inward, letting the image become calm and steady rather than urgent. The horse responded by stepping forward as well. The trainer's eyes widened. "This is not control," the man explained. "This is alignment." The trainer began to understand that communication was not silent words or hidden signals. It was harmony between inner state and outer action. When those were balanced, the horse responded naturally. As the weeks went by, the trainer's body changed. His movements became slower, more fluid. His voice softened. Even when he spoke, his tone carried calm instead of command. He noticed something else, too. His thoughts no longer raced constantly. He slept better. He felt grounded in a way he never had before. The learning was not just about horses. It was about himself. One evening, a nervous horse was brought in by someone from a nearby area. The animal was tense, unsure, and alert to every sound. The older man watched quietly, then turned to the trainer. "Try," he said. The trainer felt fear rise inside him. Not fear of the horse, but fear of failing again. He closed his eyes briefly, breathing until his mind settled. He stepped forward slowly, stopping whenever he felt tension rise. The horse watched him carefully. When he paused, the horse paused too. When he relaxed, the horse lowered its head slightly. There was no sudden change, no dramatic moment. But over time, the horse's body softened. The distance between them shrank naturally. When it was over, the older man nodded once. "You listened," he said. That simple approval meant more than any award the trainer had ever received. The older man explained that this way of working had been passed down through generations. It came from living closely with animals, observing them, respecting their space, and understanding that fear could not be forced away. "Trust grows when you are consistent inside," he said. "Not when you are strong outside." The trainer thought back to his old life, the busy schedules, the constant pressure to perform, the need to be seen as an expert. He realized how much noise had filled his mind back then, leaving little room for true awareness. Here, in the quiet of open land, learning felt deeper and more real. As his time there continued, the older man began stepping back more often, letting the trainer work alone while he observed from afar. This shift made the trainer nervous at first, but he trusted the process. One morning he entered the field and simply stood. Horses nearby lifted their heads, aware of him, but not alarmed. One by one they resumed grazing, comfortable with his presence. He smiled quietly. He was no longer trying to prove anything. The older man approached later that day. "You are ready to leave soon," he said. The word surprised the trainer. He felt a pull to stay, to keep learning. But he also understood this knowledge was not meant to keep him there. It was meant to be carried forward. "I still have much to learn," the trainer said. The older man smiled softly. "So does the land," he replied. "So do the horses. Learning never ends." That night, as the stars filled the sky, the trainer felt deep gratitude. He had come searching for answers about horses. What he found was a new way of being, one built on patience, awareness, and respect. He knew that when he returned to the world he left behind, things would be different. Not because he had learned how to command animals better. When he finally returned home, everything looked the same, yet nothing felt the same. The stable stood where it always had. The familiar sounds of horses shifting, breathing, and calling softly filled the air. But the man who walked through the gate was no longer the trainer who had left weeks earlier. He moved slower now. Not tired, aware. People noticed the change right away. His posture was softer. His voice was calm, almost quiet. He listened more than he spoke. Some thought he had lost confidence. Others assumed the break had shaken him. No one yet understood what had truly changed. The first horse he worked with was an older one, steady and patient. In the past, he would have started with clear goals and planned steps. This time, he did something different. He stood still. The horse looked at him, ears gently moving, reading him the way horses always do. He focused on his breathing, on being present, just as he had learned. He did not rush forward. He did not ask for anything. After a moment, the horse relaxed. That small response felt like confirmation. Not excitement, not pride, just quiet certainty. Word began to spread slowly. People noticed that horses around him seemed calmer. Nervous animals settled faster. Sensitive ones no longer resisted him. Training sessions became quieter, shorter, and more effective. But the biggest change was not what others saw. It was what he felt. He no longer felt the need to prove he was in control. He did not see horses as problems to solve. He saw them as partners in a shared moment. When a horse hesitated, he looked inward first, checking his own state before adjusting anything else. Some days things did not go as planned. When that happened, he did not force progress. He paused. He waited. And often, that pause was all that was needed. Other trainers began asking questions. What did you change? What method is this? What technique are you using now? He struggled to answer at first. There were no steps to list, no tools to recommend. No quick explanation, so he spoke simply.
I learned how to listen,
he said. Some people understood right away. Others smiled politely and walked away, unconvinced. He did not try to convince them. He remembered the words of the older man. Understanding cannot be rushed. Over time, a few stayed. They watched quietly, just as he once had. He encouraged them to slow down, to notice their breathing, their posture, their thoughts. Many found it uncomfortable. Just tell me what to do, they would say. He smiled gently and replied, that comes later. One afternoon, the same type of sensitive horse that once defeated him was brought in. The memory of his past failure surfaced briefly, but it did not control him. He acknowledged it, then let it pass. He entered the space calmly. The horse watched him closely, alert but not tense. He stood at a respectful distance, breathing steadily. He allowed silence to do its work. Minutes passed. Then the horse took a step toward him. The moment felt full and complete, without applause or attention, just connection. He realized then how far he had come. Not as a trainer, but as a person. He stopped using the word master to describe himself. It no longer felt right. Mastery, he now believed, was not about having power over another being. It was about understanding, patience, and humility. At workshops and gatherings, he began sharing stories instead of instructions. He spoke about failure, about frustration, about the moment everything fell apart. He spoke honestly about how much he had been wrong. People listened. Some came expecting tricks. They left with questions. Questions about themselves, their energy, and the way they showed up in the presence of animals. That, he felt, was enough. Every so often he thought of the older man on the open land. He remembered the silence, the stillness, and the calm wisdom shared without force. Though they did not speak often after that, the lesson stayed alive in everything he did. He honored that knowledge by practicing it daily, not perfectly, but sincerely. Years passed. His reputation grew again, but this time it felt different. It was quieter, deeper. People trusted him not because he promised results, but because horses responded to him naturally. One evening, after a long but peaceful day, he stood outside the stable watching the sunset. Horses grazed nearby, moving freely, comfortably aware of him. He felt grateful, not for success, but for failure, because failure had stripped away his pride and led him towards something real, something ancient, something simple. He understood now that animals were always communicating. It was humans who had forgotten how to listen. As the sky darkened and the first stars appeared, he smiled softly, knowing that the journey never truly ends. Learning continues. Listening continues.